Distinguished guests, hello and welcome to the winners announcement session for the Africa 50 Innovation Challenge. My name is Makeda Mahadio and I'll be your facilitator for this special session. Last year, the Innovation Challenge was born in order to help address the challenges of last mile internet connectivity in the most remote of areas on the continent. That is affordably and sustainably getting internet to the hands and homes of millions of Africans living in rural and hard to reach areas. As many of you know, access to internet is crucial to the continent achieving its ambitious development goals, especially now as the world grapples with COVID-19. And as such, the team at Africa50 has introduced this challenge in order to source solutions across the world to address these issues. Let's trace the journey of the challenge so far. Isn't that exciting? So many of us have either lived in an area with no connection or personally know people who live in villages with no connection. This could be a transformational shift being catalyzed here today. Now, before we hear from the competition pitchers vying for the prize, we'll hear from Carol Wainaina. She's the special advisor to the CEO, and she'll be delivering a vote of thanks. We'll also get to know the partners and advisory board behind the Africa50 Innovation Challenge. This competition couldn't have happened without them, and they have something to say. So take a look.
When we launched this initiative last year at the Transform Africa Forum in Kigali, it was just a concept. And now here we are celebrating this exciting milestone. We were really impressed with the quality of the submissions, and indeed very encouraged to see so many innovative initiatives that are already solving the connectivity gap in Africa. But beyond projects, technology, and infrastructure, the most important thing to keep in mind is the people we serve, the human faces behind our business endeavors. And I'm sure you will all agree that the COVID-19 pandemic has only made this pressing need more apparent. So by leveraging technology and the right partnerships, we can help recover and rebuild our continent, as well as increase our resilience to future crises. I want to take the time to thank our partners, the government of Rwanda, GSMA and Microsoft. I also want to thank Disrupt Us and Informa, the partners who are part of the initial stages of this initiative, and also Tactis and Afrobytes. Big thank you to all of you. Also a big thank you to our experts who plowed through all the solutions, reviewing them and coming up with the winners. And finally, our institutional partners, the African Development Bank, the ITU, Smart Africa, UNECA, the African Union, who also joined our advisory board and have been strong partners in making this a success. We look forward to the coming months as we pursue this journey together. Thank you all.
Africa has an excellent story to tell when it comes to leapfrogging and adopting and adapting digital solutions for Africa. Now, at the African Union, we are mobilizing all partners and everybody, private and public, to make sure that our leap forward is done in coordination and in synergy. Here comes Africa50. Africa50, through this fantastic innovation initiative, is helping, fill the gap when it comes to private sector, but more importantly, giving impetus and encouragement to our young people. This is what we want to see. This is what we want to encourage happen on the continent.
Innovations powered by broadband connectivity will provide access to platforms and solutions that address real challenges that are unique to sub-Saharan Africa. So when I look at what Africa50 Innovation Challenge is seeking to achieve, it aligns in every direction with the vision of the GSMA Innovation Fund for mobile adoption. And I'm sure that when the winners are announced, what they're proposing to do will go a long way and have significant impact on last mile delivery in underserved regions in Africa.
I would like to thank them and congratulate all the 673 participants that put in their skills and passion to use as they designed proposals that respond to this challenge of connecting everyone across the continent. We are very excited, but mostly honored, and we commit our full support as the government of Rwanda to make it a success and also to find ways of expanding it across Africa as we expand Africa's digital inclusion. For those that didn't make it, I also have a message for you. Whether you didn't make it to the top 10 finalists, for me, you are all still winners. And as I said before, Rwanda is open to welcoming you to come here and test your different ideas and solutions. And in our particular case, and this is for Africa, there's never too much of anything. We have enough room across the continent to test these ideas, to put them to use, and connect as many people as we can. So I do hope to hear and see you soon. Thank you very much, and congratulations to our finalists.
Now that you know them, I'd like to invite you to get to know the people managing the initiative, the Africa50 investment team. Joining us live is Investment Director Eti Filitas, Senior Investment Associate Charles Mokwolo, Investment Analyst Mumbi Michelle Kimani, Events and Protocol Coordinator and the Director of Communications, who you'll hear from a bit later, Flor Chipota. Now, before we get acquainted with the final 7 pitch presentations to have made it to this round, I'd like to go ahead and get the dialogue going. I'm sure some of you watching may already have questions, not only about the program, but also about how to get your own projects and solutions off the ground. So feel free to drop them in the chat box or in the comments, and of course, we'll try and get to all of them. Now, for this first question, I'd like to go ahead and direct it to Eti and Mumbi to answer. So we can see that there are a number of key institutions that have joined this initiative. What kind of collaborations are required amongst various stakeholders to make last mile connectivity a reality for the continent?
Well, Makeda, that's a wonderful question, and one that we've thought about quite a bit in terms of crafting the challenge and making sure that we select the right solutions. The partners in this ecosystem are all over the spectrum. They're large companies that are established and have very robust business models, but there are also companies that are smaller, more disruptive, and are just really finding out where they fit within the value chain in terms of providing last mile connectivity. So what we're really seeking to do in terms of finding the right partners are, number one, matching both public and private capital and strategic partners so that they can provide solutions, but also working with stakeholders who are all going to find a very, very real value proposition in actually working together. We think that sustainable, reliable internet connectivity is really only going to be something that is achievable if every single player within the value chain has the right economic value proposition, but also the right impact value proposition.
Right. Mumbi, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, as we heard from Minister Paula in the previous session, government alone cannot make last mile connectivity a reality in Africa. Africa50 as a finance institution cannot do it alone. So we really needed that broad spectrum of players that Eti referred to and partners to really make this work. And we still need these kind of players to make it work. So our advisory board, our partners that you've seen in the video, reflect this spectrum. We had institutional support from the AFDB, from ITU, from UNECA, from Smart Africa, really providing that oversight, but also representing the policy and regulatory, umbrella or aspect. We have the government support from the Ministry of Rwanda, which is key, especially as we enter into the phase of potentially implementing a pilot. We have the large tech companies that Eti referred to, Microsoft, Google, Cisco, Liquid Telecom, that either, participated as experts or, referred solutions to the challenge, which was, incredible. And then we had a key player. We had Tactis, which is, a major firm in terms of, the technical aspects. So they gave us, I think, about 7 experts that looked into the solutions, and we had 27 independent experts representing the entire spectrum, which was incredible and really just demonstrates how you need, all different, sides of the coin to come together in order to make this work. And then not to mention, the promotional partners like Afrobytes and GSMA and Informa, whose platform we are on today. So we are really truly grateful. And, as we potentially look into a pilot, this is going to be essential as we implement this.
Right, absolutely. All hands do need to be on deck. Charles, we know Africa50 to deal in more big ticket projects. Why have you decided to focus on a smaller project like this through the Innovation Challenge?
You're completely right. I think we typically will do sort of your large infrastructure projects today, but I think that we've seen that traditional financing have been able to sort of be attracted towards these big, large projects, and there's really a need for sort of more attentional and capital around innovative solutions to address infrastructure problems. I think that we know that Africa is the fastest growing ICT sector in the world, right? You still have about 71% or 7 in 10 Africans don't have reliable internet, right? You have 3 in 4, 75% of Africans don't have internet access in general, right? And but it's still the fastest growing mobile sector, and broadly ICT. We have a very young population, and I think the firm Africa50 really recognizes sort of the need to fund these big projects, as well as identify areas where we can significantly move the needle here. And I like to say there is sort of we get the chance here to be the baker, bake the cake, share the cake, and eat some of that too. And what do I mean? That really means that we have an opportunity to really close the digital divide in Africa, right? While potentially pursuing a very attractive investment for our shareholders. If we look at the continent of Africa, we realize that the World Bank says you need about $100 billion to solve the divide. Which you might argue maybe half of a Bezos. You have COVID-19 has really accelerated the need for increased broadband connectivity, as well as it has really shown our need to have good infrastructure to have sustainable and growth and build reliance. You've seen the sort of chronic issues with infrastructure challenges, especially around some of this last mile solution projects that are very critical in unlocking not just economic potential of the continent, but also sort of moving over 100 million people who don't have traditional access to mobile networks, as well as being able to increase some of the needs that are met by local communities in terms of adoption and bringing them forward to today's digital economy. And so I think that, when we look at it broadly, new kind of partnerships like Etihad and Mumbi had sort of talked about are needed. And a crucial step, right, is show me the money, and which is financing and being able to use capital to unlock all the opportunity that we see on the continent today.
Right, Charles. I mean, it's also quite nice, I think, for the rest of the community to see that Africa50 is validating and sort of punctuating that African startups could be a significant growth sector. Let's go ahead and continue on with our program. I know a lot of us are waiting to see who the finalists are, so I think it's time for us to go ahead and roll that clip. What you're about to see is each of the carefully selected startups and their answers to tackling last mile connectivity in Africa. As you watch, note down your favorites. You never know, your favorite could be the lucky winner. Take a look.
We are POA Internet, a wireless internet service provider in Kenya since 2015. The problem with the internet in Africa is that it's either not available or it's unaffordable. This translates into the following problems for people. Customer equipment is costly for the individual. This prohibitive costing in turn creates scarcity, and as a result, the digital skills potential is not getting unlocked. POA's mission is to fix this. Internet in every home in Africa. We are disrupting the market by using low-cost technologies to build wireless networks in marginalized communities. This low-cost strategy enables us to offer affordable and commercial quality services to customers. We solve the three barriers to internet adoption. The first one is price. We are substantially cheaper than anyone else. Then there is the barrier of availability. We provide service in areas that are ignored by the incumbents. And finally, unlimited data, allowing our customers to engage fully with the internet instead of being constrained by prohibitive bundle pricing. We have a super efficient operations and business model that we developed from the ground up with massive scaling in mind. We have developed our own proprietary software platform to drive this scaling. It handles service provisioning, subscriber management, as well as products, pricing and payments. Our proposition is prepaid and paid for using M-Pesa, the world's leading mobile money solution. Our home internet proposition starts at 1,500 Kenyan shillings per month, that is approximately $15 for 4 megabits per second truly unlimited internet. We also offer a free public Wi-Fi service across our network of over 10,000 hotspots to drive internet adoption. With your support, we can achieve our vision to drive digital inclusion for a more equitable world. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, I'm Peter Ip. I'm the CEO of Bluetown. We are a last mile connectivity provider that's built on a vision of providing fast, affordable and stable internet access to everybody, or with a simpler term, connecting the unconnected. Our offering is a range of modular Wi-Fi based solutions that we install and typically operate on a commercial basis and in scale. We're currently active in India and Ghana and have in the past worked in Tanzania, Rwanda, Mozambique and US. Our solutions are based on building blocks, including typically a range of access points, battery backup, solar power, and the ability to connect to various types of backhaul. And that means that we're able to customize a solution for every location and every country. The business model we're working with is to connect people in areas where the telcos does not have a viable business model. The revenue stream we're working with is data connectivity and the distribution of content. And in this connection, the content distribution is absolute key part of our solution, and we handle that via what we call a local cloud or an edge server. It enables local storage of content like e-learning, e-health, entertainment, etc. on a server close to the end users. And this means that we can provide end user access to this high-speed, high-resolution videos and other material, potentially free of charge. For us in Bluetown, it means that we can serve our customers and end users even better. And business-wise, it means that new source of revenue from content partners that is ready to invest in reaching a new audience is available. Strategically, we believe that to create a sustainable and profitable business, a very important part of that is to work with partners. Today, we're working with a range of global partners and are currently actively engaged with Microsoft and SES in Ghana. We're really humble and proud to be part of the finalist round in the Africa50 contest, and we are more than ready to do our part to boost connectivity in Africa. Thanks so much.
Hi, my name is Henry Nyakaruni from ARED. ARED developed a multi-service digital edge platform to facilitate access to digital services like mobile money, airtime, but also digital application like mobile apps, video content, and also storage capability, and phone charging services. So to achieve that, ARED developed a mini server technology so we can store those digital applications locally and distributed via Wi-Fi to the user. And we built that technology within a solar kiosk, not only to power the technology, but also providing phone charging services and social and economic impact for the community we serve. So there's several problems that we're addressing at ARED. The first one is digital literacy. Then there is sustainability of the business. Most of the smartphone that is being used in those low-income areas are low-end smartphones. And you also have a need of the phone charging because you cannot have last-mile connectivity without an energy ingredient. And finally, the economic and social impact. Most of our kiosks are operating mostly by women and people with disability that are hired from those communities and earn a living from those kiosks. ARED is a B2B2C company. We currently operate in Rwanda, Uganda, Burkina Faso, and Ivory Coast. Two types of clients ARED has. First, NGOs that use our technology mostly for the rural area and refugee camps to bring connectivity, but also economic impact. And telcos that use part of our technology mostly to optimize the existing kiosk network and to make it smarter. We currently will be in Nigeria and Senegal by 2021. Thank you.
Bonjour, je suis Frédéric Palma, CEO et fondateur de l'Ifilette. L'Ifilette est une entreprise ayant développé une solution 3 en 1 qui permet d'apporter à la fois de l'électricité, de l'internet haut débit et du contenu agricole et éducatif en milieu rural grâce aux énergies renouvelables, notamment le solaire. Notre modèle économique est tout simple. Grâce à un forfait que l'utilisateur peut activer par jour à raison d'$1 par jour, à raison de $8 par semaine, à raison de $20 par mois pour bénéficier de 3 services majeurs. L'électricité qui reste une problématique majeure sur le continent africain, l'accès au contenu haut débit en milieu rural et l'accès à des contenus pour l'éducation, la formation et la sensibilisation des personnes en milieu rural. Grâce à notre solution, nous sommes capables justement avec une ampoule de pouvoir transmettre de l'Internet et couvrir les derniers kilomètres justement qui coupent le monde rural aux zones urbaines. Donc grâce à une ampoule, toutes les zones sont désormais connectables parce qu'une source lumineuse, un point lumineux devient un point d'accès à Internet. Je vous remercie. Ifilette, connectons l'Afrique.
Hi, we're Mesh++, and we're trying to bring Wi-Fi where it could never go before, whether it's a remote field in the middle of nowhere or a developing country. The need for Wi-Fi is growing more than ever. Mobile data increases exponentially every year, and most of this happens over Wi-Fi because cellular data is either too slow or it's too expensive. So why isn't Wi-Fi everywhere? For a single outdoor access point, it can cost over $8,000 USD just to dig the holes and trench the cables. So we built a device that doesn't need cables. It's solar powered, so you don't need to connect to a power grid, and it's got a dedicated wireless backhaul, so you don't need Ethernet cables. When you place them within range of each other, the routers automatically connect and form their own backhaul network. It's battery powered at night, so you don't need to lose connection. And we're powering it all with Snapdragon series processors. You can take a single internet connection and spread it over 17 times more area than existing wireless technologies. And in developing countries, we can provide all of the last mile infrastructure necessary. The possibilities are endless. Thank you.
Farmers play an important role in our lives. They grow our food. But limited access to markets means that they live most of their lives in poverty. On the flip side, people living in urban areas grapple with issues of food security, yet we have the technology and tools to solve this problem in a heartbeat. And just to give you some more context, Africa loses $48 billion worth of food due to post-harvest loss, while receiving $4 billion in food aid annually. Our vision at Hey Hey is to create a perfect market by matching demand and supply. We do this by bringing connectivity and supply chain solutions to these rural communities where 90% of our population live and work, with what we call abundance villages. Abundance villages are connected agriculture collection centers providing warehousing and transportation services to farmers while leveraging an end-to-end post-harvest supply chain platform to connect them to high-value markets. Consumers pay a membership fee to become an abundance member and access fresh produce at farm gate prices. And this fee ensures that farmers have access to reliable logistics and a ready market. These centers are owned and operated by the community through a franchise model, allowing for scalability while empowering entrepreneurs within the community to create new jobs. Our goal over the next 2 years is to establish 17 abundance villages across Rwanda and expand throughout the Great Lakes region by 2025. Our connectivity solution is a demand-driven service designed with the end user in mind, therefore making it economically viable. We are already serving 7,000 consumers in Rwanda and reaching 4,000 farmers at just 2 abundance villages, and would absolutely love for you to join us on our journey.
Globtel Holding is a privately held EU-based company with more than 20 years of experience in telecommunication and radio frequency business. All experience gathered in Globtel's core business have led us to a unique wireless replay solution called AIR. AIR is a unique integrated wireless replay point-to-multipoint system solution on a telecommunication market, providing radio access to all residential and SOHO users in a radius up to 50 kilometers from every base station. Operators are able to provide all the services that residential and corporate users are looking for today. This means digital TV broadcast or IPTV, several hundreds of digital TV channels at the same time, very high-speed internet, up to 1 gigabyte per user, voice over IP, pay-per-view, telemetry, smart meter reading, telemedicine, e-health, e-learning, and so on. By saying that, Globtel can offer our partners, local ISPs, different business models and way how to support them. From being just an equipment supplier, over offering them full technical and business support, to being part of daily operation, which means helping and supporting not only technical part of the operation, but also commercial and daily business part that can even start before the whole operation begins. That means we can also be part of the preparation side. By all that, we believe and we know that together we can have the next generation of telecommunication services across Africa.
Wow, I don't know about you, but I already have a few favorites. Now, before we get into the 2 top solutions are coming from, I thought we'd engage the panel a bit more about how the winners were chosen and, of course, get to some of the questions that you all have submitted. So it's not too late. If you have a burning question, go ahead and drop it in the chat box. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and dive right back in. Charles, you know, as we mentioned earlier in the discussion, this is sort of a new space that Africa50 is stepping into right now. So how did you approach the assessment of the projects and their viability?
That's a good question. I think this required us, to wear a different hat, if you will. And I think, that we broadly looked at, 3 things. One affordability, so just making sure, understanding, who our customers were. Uptake, so how easy was it to use and how adaptable were said solutions. And then value creation, just looking at what value does each solution present to the communities, consumers, as well as investors and the country as a whole. I think that the key criteria we had were around sort of 5 broad things. It had to be innovative, right? So it had to be something novel, it had to be scalable. So we need to see, it needs a potential to impact a large number of people at national level, as well as a scale to other countries around the continent. It needs to be modular, meaning that it can be used by standalone or combined with other solutions as well. Sustainable, sustainability is massive for the continent, and ready to implement. It needs to be ready to go out of the gate because the solutions we need to address today's problems. And right. I think that broadly all the solutions had very interesting business models, and they were very innovative and impactful. And we believe that as we look into the economic viability of last mile connectivity, we need to ensure that a lot of these models are being developed as sustainable in the long run for further investments.
Right. Eti, how are these solutions already helping to solve last mile connectivity, the gap that exists?
These solutions are really helping to solve that gap already in ways that we're really excited about and really happy about, in terms of supporting solutions, as Charles mentioned, that can be scaled, but also can impact very large numbers of people across the African continent. They're addressing the last mile connectivity gap, I'd say, in 2 major ways. The first way is from the supply side, in terms of making sure that reliable, affordable, and sustainable internet is more readily available, but also on the demand side, making sure that people can actually access content, making sure that the content is relevant and resonates with them in their local context, but also making sure that they know how to access the internet and know how to adapt it to their everyday lives and their everyday use cases. So when you think about the types of solutions and the work that they're already doing, some of those solutions are doing things like using solar-powered Wi-Fi hotspots. And we all know that the price for power generation and power distribution can be cost prohibitive on the continent. And so solutions that offer a solar solution instead of a diesel or other self-generated power source are definitely going to impact lives and bring down costs. Other solutions are pairing traditional models with new twists. So some of them are using Wi-Fi networks through low CapEx towers that don't cost a lot of money to make, but then they're also pairing them with edge networks that store content so that when the network is down or a little bit weaker, people can still access that content and pull it down off the network without actually having to use a lot of bandwidth or a lot of broadband capacity. Others are doing things like sending microwave signals to transmit information over large distances and allowing those pieces of equipment that transmit that information to carry many more users than typically they could in the past. And that's something that is also helping to bring down costs. And we're also seeing, interesting models in terms of distributing internet accessibility. Some of those installation, mechanisms are actually selling retail units of internet connectivity and airtime for much smaller increments and allowing local community members to actually make entrepreneurial endeavors by selling those increments. And so across the supply side and across the demand side, we're seeing really interesting ways of tackling this problem.
Right. I want to throw it back over to Charles. How important is it that over 80% of the solutions come from Africa?
I think it's extremely important, right? Because you think, when we think about solving our own problems, we really sort of look inwards, and it's sort of great to have sort of a showcase that we can sort of think about creatively about problems that we face today, and that's what really made us very excited to launch this in the first place. And as we work through this to be, not blown away, but really confirmed what we believed in, that, you know, the talent to address some of the solutions and the skills are within us on the continent, which is refreshing to see.
Right. Eti, if I can just bring it back over to you, you know, this initiative was born last year. Just what was the thinking then? What's the best case scenario? What's the dream scenario coming out of this challenge?
Well, the dream scenario is one that picks up a lot of the different pieces of what we've discussed already across the advisory board, across the investment team, and across a lot of the communities that we've actually sourced to really guide us on what solutions would be most effective. And that dream scenario is a solution or set of solutions that build an ecosystem to solve this problem. We're really ecosystem builders. We believe that engaging different stakeholders across the entire value chain is really what's going to solve this problem. And so when you think about that dream solution, it's a solution where underserved and unserved rural communities have access to low cost, affordable, and reliable internet in a sustainable way. And they don't just have that within their particular community, they have it and know that others across the continent and across the entire spectrum are also able to access internet. It's going to really it's going to be a team effort. It's going to require, handset providers and mobile device providers to be part of the solution. It's going to require internet service providers to be part of the solution. It's going to require backhaul providers who are less seen, but just as important, to also be part of the solution. And it's also going to require large-scale software and larger established companies like the Microsofts, the Googles of the world to provide content that's tailored and bespoke to these underserved communities so that they can really make the most of internet connectivity.
Right. I want to bring it back over to you again, Charles. Right now, it's very hard to provide solutions to these kind of issues without having to consider everything that's happening in the world right now. So, we're not just talking about COVID-19, but even climate change just ravaging the entire continent. So how much of unlike before when you could just make profit and you could decide that you're going to solve this problem in any way that you can, now you really do have to have that accountability as a company. So how deeply did you look into these proposals and pitches as far as the impact that they're making and the environmental footprint that they're making when they're creating these solutions?
That's a great question. I think, there's been a lot of focus around ESG, trying to invest in a sustainable manner that is not just good for business, but also good for the environment. And is one that at Africa50, we champion and take, very seriously. And, when we looked at everything on these projects, I mentioned, 5 broad things: innovative, scalable, modular, sustainable, ready to implement, right? The sustainability piece of this was very, very critical, right? We want to be championing things, not just even in ICT. We look at the investments across the other sectors where we're involved in, where the power, like we want to be involved in, pushing the agenda forward in a very sustainable way in Africa, creating a platform that honestly the world could look at and say, well, this is how we should be doing it. We have a chance to really jump the S-curve in Africa and in terms of advancing our infrastructure, and it's one that we hope that in a very small way that this innovation challenge has catalyzed, and it just picks up a snowball and keeps moving on to the future.
Right, Eti, before we get into announcing the winners, this is your first time doing this challenge, and it's your first time actually getting into this space. Were there any unforeseen challenges that came up throughout the year while implementing this competition?
Sure, not to mention, Makeda, there was also a global pandemic in the midst of this as well, but small things. But no, there were lots of learnings, and there were tons of learning opportunities to deepen our institutional knowledge around how to analyze, source, and underwrite investments of this type, but also to understand what types of solutions and what types of roles that Africa50 could play as a facilitator within an ecosystem. Those challenges, I think, were, for the most part, around making sure that we truly understood the hurdles that existing businesses were facing, so that we did not replicate them in trying to bring together a solution for a pilot or for a potential investment in the future. And there were also challenges around making sure that we were taking models that potentially worked in other parts of the emerging and developing world, or even in the developed world, and making sure that they were very tailored and crafted to the spending patterns, to the use cases, and to the actual needs of underserved and unserved communities within sub-Saharan Africa. It was easier to kind of just look at something and potentially replicate it on the continent. But when we really looked at something that was going to be sustainable and long-term viable, we needed to make sure that underserved, unserved populations were really going to benefit from it. And that, as I said earlier, the value proposition for all the stakeholders was going to hold true. And those were some of the challenges that we faced. But fortunately, we have been engaging an awesome set of partners, an awesome set of sponsors, an awesome advisory board, and an absolutely helpful local committee that helped us kind of work through things in real time.
Right. I got another question here. Charles, let me go ahead and ask you. The question is, how difficult was it to settle on the winners? I imagine it was very difficult.
The contestants made it very, very hard for us to pick one. And I think, internally we really grappled with the idea of it. But it was difficult to move forward with it. We had a framework of trying to assess the solutions. The way we look at it is that we will welcome the opportunity to partner with all the contestants who had gone through the innovation challenge, as well as some people that maybe they even go through the process in the future. I think just for this competition alone, it was incredibly difficult to come up with a solution to take it all. But that's sometimes that's how life works. You have to you gotta pick one. So we hope that we look forward to working not just with the winner, like I said before, but even many others that are also addressing the solution in the future.
Right. I mean, it may be a bit too early to ask this question, but Eti, I'm going to ask it anyway. What would you say to similar bodies to Africa50 in terms of, investing in startups, investing in smaller companies? That has been a concern for a lot of them. Now that you've had this experience, what do you have to share with them?
I'd say that messaging would be twofold. The first is that the actual addressable universe of startups, early stage companies, and venture stage companies is actually very, very deep. While there might be some work to be done to get them to investability, or some work to be done to develop ideas and business models, once investment theses are identified, and once we understand the challenges, there actually are quite a few solutions, companies, and management teams out there who are doing great work. And with a little bit of support, and with a little bit of handholding, and with a little bit of co-partnering, the actual addressable universe can continue to grow. The second thing I would say, aside from the addressable universe of potential solutions and companies, is that this is a collaborative space. It's one that is going to benefit from multiple players coming together and really providing the capital, really providing the strategic direction, and really providing the context for these earlier stage opportunities to become real investable opportunities going forward. The model really is going to rely on different stakeholders coming together, realizing that the infrastructure gap on the continent is significantly wide enough that it's not going to be solved by one player. And I'd imagine that as that gets proven out, there'll be more capital momentum towards the space. There'll be more strategic momentum towards the space. And you'll see a lot more collaboration coming together to create value, but also to capture value.
Right, and let's go ahead and take that momentum that you've started there and go ahead and start in with actually announcing who these winners are. Thank you so much, Charles and Etty. This feels like the perfect time, and it's the moment that we've all been waiting for. So I'd like to introduce the Director of Communications for Africa50, Fleur Shibota. Please take it away.
Thank you so much, Makeda. I think this has been a great session. I think it was important as well to give a bit of feedback and some insights of, the process we've gone through, because it's been an incredible journey since we launched the challenge last year. A lot of things have happened. We have interacted with a lot of the solutions that were submitted to the Innovation Challenge. We've been sharing knowledge as well. And at the same time, we were going through the process for assessing the solutions and in the end, identifying the winners. So, we're very proud of, the excellent and very innovative solutions that have been coming out of Africa. We are also proud of the fact that we were able to attract as well entities, large and small from across the world. And we truly believe that there are many opportunities for partnerships to make this happen. So like my colleagues mentioned, it wasn't an easy task to define the winner. And also we looked at solutions both on the supply side, so providing connectivity through equipment, infrastructure, technology, and as well solutions that help increase the uptake, the adoption of infrastructure with the right digital services that are crafted for the needs of Africans. So the reward reflect that as well in a way. So we have two solutions that will be unveiled now. One of them is the winner, the grand winner of the Innovation Challenge. It is a solution that focuses on providing the connectivity. The other winner is actually the other solution that we will unveil is receiving a special recognition. And that solution focuses more on the adoption of internet through digital services and as well the impact that it has in the communities. So having said that, I will let you, discover these solutions and the prize that they will be getting. One of the solutions, so the winner will be will be added to our investment pipeline, but of course, for now, no decision has been made whether we will invest. This is going to be part of a further due diligence process that will be going on, but this will be the grand winner. So we want to really thank all the stakeholders that have helped us getting so far. And we as well thank all the participants to the Innovation Challenge, and we look forward to further conversations and to continuing to fostering this ecosystem of connectivity in Africa. Thank you.
Congratulations to the winners. Now, please join me in welcoming them to make their remarks. First up is the CEO of POA Internet, that is Andy Halsall. Andy, you're a winner. How do you and your team feel?
Oh, well, thanks very much. I mean, it's great to be here, and we're greatly honoured to have been awarded this prize. At POA, we've been working for several years with a vision of how do we put the internet into every African home, and it's really gratifying to get a vote of confidence like this from Africa50 and all the luminaries on their on their advisory panel. I think there's a few people we'd like to thank for how how far we've got so far. The first and most important is our team. We have some really outstanding people working at POA. This prize, I think, is a reflection of the long hours and that they've worked and the determination and the commitment they've shown. The second is our backers. We have some fantastic shareholders, investors that have put their trust in us and really believe in what we're doing. Third is our partners. We work with people like Liquid Telecom and Google X, and they've really shared our vision for affordable connectivity. And last, but by no means least, is our customers. Without them, we'd be nothing. So, we're really honoured to receive this, and we're going to put this to good work, improving connectivity in Africa.
And we'll be following your journey. We are wishing you, of course, all the best of luck. And next up, please welcome the founder and CEO of Arid Group, Henri Nyakarundi. They received a special recognition for the uniqueness of their solution and the impact they're making. Henri, how does it feel?
Well, it's very exciting. I mean, I think Andy said it all, but it's great to be recognized, and definitely want to thank also the team, stakeholder, our partners, the MTNs, World Vision. But it's exciting, and it's really exciting what's going to happen next now. It's a huge problematic to solve. It's been said many times, it's a problematic cannot be solved by one solution. And I think what Africa50 is doing is trying to combine different solutions to really solve this last mile connectivity, which is a huge problem. And I truly hope for the future, there'll be more capital invested in those micro infrastructure, but mostly also into research and development, which is really what's lacking in Africa. But we're very excited. It's been a long journey, 7 years, and we still have a long way to go.
Right, it's just the beginning, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Henri, and of course, congratulations again, Andy. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. We're lucky we witnessed the beginning of what could be a major contribution to Africa's development goals. Let's meet again to follow up, but for now, my name is Makeda Mahadio, and of course, on behalf of the Africa50 team, we wish you all the best. Thanks for joining us. Bye.